Hi, I'm Nan Simonsen. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach. And I had a subject today that I'm going to say is dear to me because I actually created it. Let me take you back a bit. Last week I did a sort of a travel log video because I had just gotten back from 2 weeks in Canada, and I did a video about that. Well, what I don't remember if I talked about or that I talked about was the fact that I was working on the manuscript for a book that I'm writing as a sequel to this. This was Aging Powerfully. This photo was taken a couple of months before turning 70. The book was published with the photo. A couple weeks later, I turned 70. And this was all about now that I'm 70, guess what? As far as I'm concerned, I've got 1, 2, 3 more decades of life, and we're going to talk about how to age with power, a bit of a memoir so the reader knows about some of the things that were part of my life and some challenges. And here it is, 5 years later. In January on the 9th, I turned 75, and I decided out of the blue that I was going to do a sequel. And the sequel would be Lessons Learned. And so I was working on the entire time I was on this trip because there were long flights, long stays in airports, and opportunities for me to do the final editing on my book, the final rereading, proofreading of it. Um, and so I did that. What I also, I don't think, told you was the drama of my having left my computer, i.e., my manuscript, because I guess I didn't save it to the cloud, in the airplane when we came into Ontario, California. And I called everywhere, spoke to everyone I could get a hold of, and everyone said, fill in this form. I filled in the form anyway. 3 days later, after a few more calls, I found that American Airlines had a little desk at that Ontario airport. And even though everyone said, if you've lost it, they'll call you. I called them and somebody said, is it a silver Apple computer? And I said, yeah, in a little Mac Air. And there it was. So all of this to say I was able to get back on it, finish the book on, hmm, well, let me put it this way. On what is this? Today's Tuesday. On Sunday, I finished everything I was going to do. On Monday, I sent it to the editor, one of the editors that I used for this book. 5 years later, wrote her and said, are you still doing this? You did a great job. I'd like to employ you again. It went there. And then I asked her not just for an edit of, because nobody has read this. The last book, every single chapter I sent to a friend or two, and they proofread and talked to me about it. Well, I didn't do any of that with this book. And it went to her, and I asked if she would not just edit for spelling and punctuation, etc., but I wanted her evaluation of the book because I really wasn't sure this was going to be something that would be of value to people. And I'm going to read you what she sent me. Was it last night? And of course, I copied it because I like it so much. And it's regarding book editing. And she writes, the book is easy to read and well organized. It has a solid inspiration content bolstered by your personal story. It makes it compelling in a way that a traditional self-help approach does not. It's a timely subject as baby boomers age and are at a loss about how to deal with the process and make the most of their senior years. There is something for everyone, making it a comprehensive, making it comprehensive and a book one can turn to from time to time to glean new insight. The printable notes and reflections engage the reader in the material. In short, it is great advice.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
I've got to get back, sorry, and mute all. That didn't seem to work. Okay. So, excuse me. I don't know if you heard that, but it was a loud exclamation in the background. I have a group here on Zoom that we meet with, and then after I do the recorded part, we get back together and discuss it and other things. I've got this hair here that, whatever. In short, it is great advice without burdening the reader with endless repetitions. It's enough to know that you went through so much and came out with a positive view of life. So, in other words, as of last night, I know that what I've written is worthwhile. And I felt so good about that. I felt like I could breathe a sigh of relief because every time I reread it, I kept thinking, is this something that anybody will want to know about? I'm going to do something with that. There. So, what do I mean by ritual and renewal? Well, there are 15 chapters in the book, and I'm unabashedly promoting it. I will send it over to my art director by Thanksgiving. That's the deal. She'll have it. She's the one that created the cover for this book. Oh, we have a cover. I had a photographer again. Um, and this is kind of what the front cover will look like. I wanted them to somewhat blend and in color especially. Um, and the art director will then have it made into a book through Amazon publishing. The last one was a Amazon bestseller, and we'll see what we can do with this one. Um, and this is what we came up with. I don't know if you can, oh, you can't see it. Anyway, we went over to the college not that far from my house and just took a photo in front of a row of columns. Um, and the name of the book is Aging Powerfully Dash, The Journey Continues. So that's what we've come up with. So why am I telling you all of this? Well, I went to the last chapter, and the chapter name is The Power of Celebration and Renewal. And there's just the smallest bit of that I want to read. The Science of Celebration. Studies in positive psychology show that the intentional act of celebrating even small wins increases motivation, improves immune function, and strengthens relationships. Celebration triggers the brain's reward system, reinforcing behaviors that align with joy and purpose. So, in other words, even celebrating small wins gets you in the state of mind to repeat that again and again. We get used to the dopamine. When we celebrate progress, not perfection, we sustain momentum, and that consistency leads to long-term wellness. Celebration, in other words, is not indulgence, it's reinforcement. It tells the brain, this matters, do more of it. So the next part of that page was titled Rituals of Renewal. And I shared 4 things that I've begun doing. And I shared it there in the book. And I thought, well, that's what I'll do with this. Just give you 4 simple things that I have found have been, well, they're rituals of renewal, things that keep me focused on the positive rather than anything else any given day. And here's some small rituals that I've adopted to keep my spirits renewed. One of them is a morning gratitude ritual, and I'll just read what I wrote. Before coffee, I name 3 things I'm grateful for out loud. I also write them in a journal. Every morning, I'm looking for what I'm grateful for. And I did that this morning, and I did it the morning before. And it sets the tone to continue to do that throughout the day. I also still do what I talked about, oh, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that I learned from Mel Robbins, the 8 statements about how I would like my brain to focus on the day. In other words, well, I'll just repeat it. Number 1, this is going to be a great day. And then the brain looks for that. Number 2, no matter, no, oh, I know, something cool is going to happen to me today. Number 3, regardless of what happens, I'm going to be fine. Number 4, I'm going to give myself credit for how hard I'm trying. Number 5, After all, I'm a work in progress. Number six, if I keep showing up, I think I've missed one, but I'm not going to worry about it. Oh, yeah, there's a new chapter starting for me today. Like yesterday, there was a new chapter. I now know that this book is worth publishing. All right. And then number seven is if I keep showing up, the universe is going to reward me. And then number eight, I have something to offer of value to offer the world. All of this, again, puts a thought in our mind that then makes our mind go toward it. We tend to go toward whatever we think about. We bring about what we think about. So, morning rituals, number one, my morning gratitude ritual. Number two, renewal walk. Step outside, breathe deeply, and look for beauty. Well, I do that 3 days a week. I do resistance training, and I'm in my garage doing that. But before I go out there, I've got a beautiful garden. I don't mind saying that, but I was a landscape designer for, well, 15 years, my company, Nanscapes. But for a decade before that, I had created a garden that was in Sunset Magazine 3 times. And I go out in the garden and I'll look for something beautiful. Quite often, there's lots of things flying around out there, or a new bloom, or just the sun in a certain way. Um, but looking for something that is beautiful says to our brain, I'm still part of this living world, and I appreciate every minute of it. And then three, four, and three, and I haven't numbered them. The 75 year, meaning my 75th year celebration, reflection jar. A little jar. This is a canning jar that happens to have a sunflower on it. And sunflowers, if you've read my first book, are my soul flower. And I'll read this to you. And this is a newly adopted ritual. That's why it's not full. I keep a small jar near my desk whenever something lovely happens. A note, a success, a shared smile. I jot it down on a piece of paper and add it to the jar. On New Year's Eve, I'll reread them all. It's a reminder that joy accumulates. And a lot of you have heard about my night notes, and I mentioned how I create these little pieces of paper. I take one of these, an 8 by 10, fold it in half, tear it, fold it in half, tear it, and it gives me four of these. Well, I tear this in half, and it gives me this. So I end up with, what is that, eight? Is that eight? Of these from every piece of paper. So when anything in my trash can, actually I tear them up before I throw them in the trash cans, unless they're double-sided. But any piece of paper that has printing on one side but blank on the other, that's what happens. And I just have piles of these. Well, I have them in my bathrooms with a pen. I have them in the bedroom right by my bed, so I don't have to turn on the light. I know just where the pile is with a pen. And I have them in the kitchen. And anytime something comes up, maybe it's because I am ADHD, and anyway, my mind's always whirling. I grab a piece of paper and write it down. Now, some people would do it on Post-it notes, but I don't have a place that I want them all over sticking to things. So I just kind of pile them, and then I'll go through them and throw them away once I've accomplished whatever it is I want to do. Well, now I'm looking for things that make me smile, make me happy, and it's getting more and more uh, I'll use the word addictive. I'm looking for things, but that's what our brain does. And so they go into this little jar. The jar will be packed down, and on New Year's Eve, I'll go through it. In any case, that's my 75-year reflection jar. Any of us can have a reflection jar or box or bag. And then the celebration meal. At the end of the week, Tim and I, my husband of 13 years, as of, 3 weeks from now, have a special meal. We do this every week. We do it on Friday night. It's plant-based. It's colorful. We've both been plant-based now going on 8 years. It's nourishing. We toast with water, we don't drink, to life itself. This is our date night, and it is sacred. We make sure that Friday night is something that we save for ourselves. So all of this to say, whether or not we have a big thing, like for me, it was a big thing that I got the book finished, that I got my computer back from the airport. Oh my gosh, I was afraid I would never see it again. Am I going to start backing up properly? Yeah. Um, it was a big thing to get it to the editor. It was a big thing for her to tell me, you got something there. And now it'll be a big thing to have it published by the end of the year so that I have my book available by January 9th, to celebrate turning 75. That's all I want to say. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say to you, oh, on every chapter that I have reflections like, how do you currently mark your moments of growth and gratitude? What does celebration look like to you? Quiet reflection, shared joy, or creative expression? What daily practices help you feel renewed in body and spirit? And who in your life could you celebrate today simply because they exist? And then I have printable reminder cards that can be printed and just left up around to remind us to um, celebrate, to be grateful, and to live our lives even better. That's all. I hope you got something out of this. I just needed to say it. I would have said it to myself, but the point is, I hope it makes a difference for you as well. Aging powerfully. The journey continues. We'll be out in, I guess, about a month and a half now. So here's to that. Have a great day. I know I'm going to. If you like what you heard, subscribe. And I produce recipes on a near weekly basis, except for this past couple of weeks of travel that interrupted that. And also have some words of wisdom that I try to produce at least few times a month. Okay, thank you for joining me and hope to see you again. Bye bye.